Okay, Krista, be alive.
Okay, I didn't see the record button come up. All right. So welcome everyone to today's Nano Balance call for this week. And today we are going to be focusing on something that Christine actually asked about last week, which was how does Nano Balance affect the hormones in our body? Okay, I didn't see the record button come up. All right. So welcome everyone to today's Nano.
Oh, the life is playing back. It's okay. I forgot to stop it. So it's recording now.
Okay. Shall we start again?
No,
No. Okay.
just go from there. This we can't delete. I might be able to edit later, but at this point
Okay. All
we
right.
just have to go.
All right. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to this week's Nano Balance call. And today we are going to be talking about how this product impacts our hormones in our body. Now, oftentimes when people think of hormones, they think of either estrogen or testosterone. But there are way more hormones than that in our body. Our bodies produce over 50 different hormones. And what hormones are, they're the chemical messengers, right? So they're chemicals that are produced by the body that act as messengers, and they're regulators. So they regulate what goes on in the body. All of the different processes that happen in the body are informed by different hormones. So it's really, really important to have a way to support the health of the hormones in our body. Because, I mean, when you think about it, they regulate everything from our body temperature to how much fat we accumulate to oh my gosh, brain function. I mean, just all kinds of everything is regulated by our hormones in our body. And when they are out of balance, it creates huge health problems. I mean, a good example is osteoporosis. When the body is not producing enough estrogen, osteoporosis is the end result of that. So there's all kinds of different, I mean, this is one example of thousands of things that happen in the body when our hormones are out of balance. And, like everything in the body, they're impacted by our lifestyle, they're impacted by, environmental toxicity, by our, I don't know, just everything that we do, because one of the things that hormones impact is our mood, how we feel. That's a pretty major one. So when we are looking at something to support our body, this product is second to none when it comes to supporting the hormonal balance in our body. And I made some notes earlier today. So I'm going to be kind of, referencing those while I'm talking to you. So I want to start with, of course, nanocurcumin, which is the first ingredient in Nano Balance, where the word nano, the name of the product, that's where it comes from, right, is nanocurcumin. And so nanocurcumin has been studied extensively for its ability to balance all the hormones in the body and also properly metabolize all the hormones in the body. So not only does it help our body to balance out our hormone production, but also it helps our body use those hormones properly. So Two very different things, but two vitally, vitally important things. And there's lots and lots and lots of examples I could give for that. One of them is, and I was looking at a lot of different studies actually that have been done on something called PCOS, or polycystic ovary syndrome. And PCOS is a really, really prevalent condition that a lot of women, especially young women, find themselves in, right? So one of the things that curcumin has been shown to do is actually alleviate polycystic ovary syndrome, which is pretty pronounced because, especially in young women, that can lead to infertility. It can lead to all kinds of mood destabilization. It can lead to type 2 diabetes. I mean, it has huge impact on the body. So that's one of the things. And also piperine, which is the black pepper extract that we have in NanoBalance, has also been studied extensively for its effect on PCOS as well, which is pretty amazing. What it does is it actually modulates the proteins inside of the ovary. There are proteins that produce these cysts on the ovary. And what piperine does is it actually modulates those proteins so they don't produce the cysts. And so you end up not having that condition, which is pretty amazing. And of course, we know that piperine is amazing when it is put together with curcumin. So we have these two powerful, powerful hormonal impactors, if you will, on our balancing and metabolizing of the hormones in our body working together. So another thing, I'm just looking at my notes real quick. Another thing that I found was with curcumin, it's been found to alleviate endometriosis. I mean, that is huge for anyone. I mean, I've had that. I know what it feels like, and it's horrific. So here's a way for people to actually get rid of it. That is amazing to me, right? So it's shown to eliminate endometriosis and also to eliminate something called ovarian failure. And basically what that is, it happens with young women who are trying to get pregnant when their ovaries don't work properly. And so they can't produce their eggs and they can't, all of that stuff. So this actually totally gets rid of that as well. That's what has been found in the studies with curcumin. So what else? Another thing is that curcumin has been found to positively impact testosterone levels in older men. Just like we women get lowered estrogen as we get older, then men's testosterone levels go down also. And so one of the things that curcumin does is it helps both, right? So it helps us produce a healthy amount of estrogen. It also helps men produce a healthy amount of testosterone. And of course, we both need both, but in different amounts, right? The other thing that it does is that it helps decrease. Now, this is really interesting because in women, it helps increase the amount of estrogen we produce as we get older. In men, it decreases the amount of estrogen if there is estrogen dominance in a male body. So it's just, so that's its balancing thing again, right? So it's able to balance out the different hormonal impacts of how these things work in the body. The other thing that has been found with curcumin, and this is specifically to do with men, is it decreases that something happens in men when they have prostate issues. And the testosterone actually gets converted into something called DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone. You don't need to know that, but what happens is when testosterone gets converted into DHT, it really impacts the prostate gland and can lead to prostate cancer. So curcumin actually reverses that conversion. It stops the testosterone from converting to DHT, which means men can have healthy prostates again. And that is huge, especially for older men. I mean, that's massive. When we think about these hormone levels, like testosterone, estrogen, one of the things that happen as we get older is when we're producing less of this, it leads to bone loss. It leads to, brain fog. It leads to all kinds of things that are really not in any way beneficial if we want, to have a healthy body. But I mentioned there are other hormones that the body produces. Now, I'm not going to go through all 50 whatever amount, but I do want to touch on a couple of other ones. And one of those is actually insulin. And people don't really think of insulin as a hormone, but it is. Insulin is a hormone that's produced by the pancreas. And it is, type 2 diabetes is so rampant in our world that, it's right up there with heart disease. And it's all, type 2 diabetes is all about lifestyle. And one of the things that happens is that when our hormones are out of balance, then insulin can't do its job properly, or the pancreas can't produce enough insulin, or, whatever it is, a particular situation. And so what curcumin is able to do is increase something called insulin sensitivity. And what insulin sensitivity is how insulin deals with blood sugar, right? So if insulin isn't doing its job properly, blood sugar builds up and you get not good results, right? So here you have a diabetic condition. If insulin is doing its job properly, then we have healthy blood sugar levels. So that's one of the things that curcumin impacts, is its ability to regulate insulin levels and how the body uses that insulin. So really, really, really vital and amazing gift to people that have that issue going on, which is a huge amount of people. What else? Oh, cortisol levels. So when we are stressed, and my goodness, who doesn't have stress? The body produces excess amounts of a hormone called cortisol. And when we produce excess amounts of cortisol, then our bodies start breaking down, basically. Cortisol, we need cortisol, a certain amount of it. But when we have that in excess all the time, being produced all the time, then what happens is we age very rapidly. And so we want to bring that stress level down, number one, but we also want to regulate that output, right, of stress hormones. And it's not just cortisol. There are other stress hormones as well. That's just the most well-known of them. So one more thing that I want to mention about curcumin, and this is something that I have heard a lot of people talk about as a testimonial, is that when they take Nanobalance, they sleep better. And one of the reasons is nanobalance, sorry, not nanobalance, the curcumin in nanobalance regulates melatonin production in the body. And so melatonin, again, it's another hormone, right? And when we have sleep problems, chances are that melatonin production is not happening the way that it should. And so here we have another incredible, I mean, how many people do you know who have sleep issues? And especially older people, you know, as we get older, the production of these things slow down. We know that. And melatonin is one of them. And so here we have another gift, right, of being able to help people regulate melatonin levels in their body. Let's move on to piperine again, which is the black pepper extract. We talked a little bit about how it helps with polycystic ovary condition, but it also, as well as curcumin, helps regulate our sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone and progesterone and, you know, all of those things. And so here we have another balancer, another amazing piece of this product that helps keep that regular and helps our body be able to utilize those hormones properly. So one of the things that piperine does, especially for younger people, is it regulates menstrual cycles for women, young women. And it also, one of the big things, and I remember for me, is that it helps reduce cramping. So, you know, when women have painful cycles, it can be debilitating. You know, when I used to have my menstrual cycle, 1 week out of every month, I was bedridden. And that was me for pretty much my whole adult life. And so, I mean, my goodness, I would have given anything to be able to have something like this. So how many young women do you know who have any one of these problems? It also improves insulin sensitivity as well. So working hand in hand with the curcumin, the black pepper extract is really powerful. The manuka honey, now who would have thought that manuka honey actually impacts our hormonal system? It does. It helps balance out our hormones, and particularly for older women going through menopause. It increases progesterone levels, which both men and women need. It increases estrogen levels in older women. And so that can alleviate things like hot flushes and mood swings and, you know, all the things that happen when we're going through stuff like that. And according to one of the studies I was reading on PubMed, it also, manuka honey, has been shown to increase testosterone levels in older men and also decrease estrogen dominance as well. It's also been found to greatly increase, actually, the quality of the sperm in younger men. And that's an issue that is becoming more and more and more well known, is that the ability of the sperm in younger men these days to survive and produce you know, a living being is becoming highly compromised. So so that's the manuka honey. And then of course we have thyme oil, which is another wonderful ingredient. Also helps with hormonal balance in the body, also helps improve progesterone production in both men and women. It helps alleviate symptoms that are related to hormone imbalance in the body, like mood swings and fatigue and things like that. So that's just, you know, an overall ballpark picture. There's a lot more specifics, but you hopefully will get a really good picture of the incredible benefits that this product can have for our hormonal system. And that's everyone. Whether you are an older person, a younger person, it doesn't matter. We all need something like this to live our best life. So with that, I am going to wrap it up and open it up to all of you out there, because one of the things about these calls is that we love to hear your stories. So we want to hear any testimonials that you have about this product, any questions that you have. That's what this next piece of time is all about. So you may have to unmute yourself if you want to speak. So whoever wants to share, please do.
Hi, Krista. I've got one I'd like to share.
Okay, then. Yeah.
I sent the talk that you gave on the heart to one of my friends, you know, that's getting the nanobalance, and she emailed me back. I'm just bringing it up now so I can read it from her email. She's had heart trouble since the COVID, but so she was particularly interested in that talk. But what she was telling me was the result she's had so far from taking the nanobalance. And she said, just tonight I noticed my big toes were no longer purpley colour, which they've been like that for years. And the beautician had said to her that it was candida, but a naturopath said it wasn't. It was she was wearing too tight a shoes. But she said now both my thumbnails, because they were wrong colour too, she said they've changed to the same colour as my toes and they're now almost clear.
Oh my gosh.
So she is really excited about that. She said she's feeling so good and hopes she keeps feeling like that. So
that's
thought you'd like to hear that.
That's circulation.
Yes,
and that comes from the heart. So whatever heart issues she's been having, that's what's been impacting that, her toes and her fingers. So that is amazing, because that tells us a lot about what it's doing for her heart too.
Yeah, no, I thought I'll tell her that yeah, I'll send this recording to her too. So, but yeah.
Thank you so
amazing.
much for sharing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because oftentimes, I mean, it does impact the heart in so many ways. And oftentimes that's not an easy one to see the results of, you know, but
yes.
But what you just shared, that's really showing it right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks.
Anybody else have something they want to share?
Hi, Christine here. I just took a bottle to a lovely friend who's even older than me, and she's been very troubled lately with a terrible knee. And in just 2 days, we did the chart, and her knee pain has gone from 8 down to 5, just in 2 days. So she's thrilled to bits. And that's not even starting on all of these other things. So I'm sending her the one about the heart because she had a heart attack recently. And now I'm doing a talk at her retirement village about nanobalance. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So think about that. If you've got good stories, how can you and them share it with more people so that more people can be wellerer? That's what we're about, helping people to be wellerer. Thank you.
That's great, Christine. Thank you so much. And that is important. I mean, how can we take these and share them further? Because, I mean, it's wonderful that we share them with each other, but really what we're doing this for is to get it out to the wider community. So that's a great thing that you're doing a talk at the facility. And so let's all think about how we can get the word out. There's so many different avenues. So anybody else have something they want to share?
Krista, if nobody else has anything to say, with Semi, you know, from not being very responsive and having to haul him out of chairs and having to, you know, just force him to get in and out of cars and, you know, easygoing otherwise. Well, 2 nights ago, he realized I was putting the rubbish out and offered to help. So,
oh my gosh!
So whilst he's still not saying very much, he just wanted to carry the rubbish bag that I had, went outside, knew that we were heading up the driveway out and onto the top of the street, and just managed one of the rubbish bins quite fine. That was, so little things. I think he's on his 3rd bottle, I think now. And the other thing is that I notice when I'm driving around and I've got him in the back seat, there's a bit more, I'm getting a bit more comment about my driving. So, you know, noise, or, you know, as if to say you're making wrong moves and stuff like that. So if there's any downside at all, it's that one. I now have the backseat driver back.
Whether I did.
What's that?
Amazing.
That's fantastic. That is so amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And so I had a friend ring up from you talking about just reaching out. I haven't had to. I had a friend ring in from Australia, and she said, how's Semi? And of course, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, oh, look, my brother's not in very good shape. And I said, well, could I have his wife's phone number? You know, look, it's much better if I call her. And so that's what I'm doing after this call. You know, it's kind of falling in my lap, really. Pretty cool.
That is great. That's great. Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, speaking of falling in laps, I went to my chiropractor a week ago, and I told him about NanoBalance. He said, "Oh, that sounds great. I'll take 10 bottles." And I retailed 10 bottles at full price. And so we're going to get him going. We're going to get him going. He's going to sell it in his practice. And anyway, just fell in my lap. Well, fell into my neck. He was working on my neck. But yeah.
Yeah. That was great. Anybody else before we wrap up the call?
Yes, Claire Larman and I had a stall at a wellness market on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were sharing Body Balance and Nano. And that flyer that they put out, the new gold standard with what it is, I had that in a big core flute setting up so people could read, and we had that in paper form to hand out because it's got the anti everything listed so that people could walk away with information, and we talked about it. So that's another thing. Markets can be great fun where you can actually talk one-on-one to people. And we must have talked to about 75 people that day. So we'll see what happens.
That's great. And of course, your information was on every flyer.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Ring this number for information. Ring this number to order. You know,
you can add another anti to that, Christine. Anti-establishment.
Tarianism. The longest word in the dictionary.
Oh, is it?
But yes, so people are excited about the improvement. And Robert's not on the call, but he is thrilled to be sleeping better. Totally thrilled. And others like Simon and other people who are not on the call, the tinnitus going away is huge. Mm-hmm. Really huge. Anyone who's never had it really doesn't understand how incredibly annoying and debilitating having tinnitus is. So we've got several stories of tinnitus going away. So if you hear someone talk about it, talk to them about it. Thanks, Krista.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, so many amazing stories that we have about this product. And, you know, we're still just in the first few months of having it available. So I am so excited to see what happens down the road, because like all of our products, the longer we're on it, the more benefit we get. So it impacts every single part of our bodies. And we only get to feel certain things at certain times, but over time, a whole new level of health takes place. So that's the exciting piece as well for me. Any last shares before we wrap up the call? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you being on the call. Go out and share it with people, as many people as you can. And let's get more people on this call, because we'll be back again next Monday in the US, Tuesday in Australia and New Zealand. So until then, have a great week, everyone.